Hello learners, welcome to our today's lesson. We'll be introducing a new unit called ratio and proportion. Ratio and proportion. Ratio and proportion. And by the end of this unit, you should be able, you the learner should be able to, number one, work out problems involving ratio. The second objective, by the end of this unit, you should be able to work out problems involving simple direct and indirect proportion. There are only two objectives. The first objective is related to the first part of the unit. The second is related to the second one. So we have ratio and proportion. Those are two things. Ratio and proportion. We will start off with ratio. Okay, ratio, and you have seen by the end of this unit, you should be able to work out problems involving ratio. So let's focus our attention on ratio. Then we will move on to proportion later on. Today we will focus on ratio. Now, a ratio is simply a relationship. Between two or more quantities, that express how bigger or smaller, between, we are talking about a ratio being a relationship between two or more quantities that expresses how bigger one is from the other quantities, all right? Relationship between quantities. In other words, ratios are used to compare. Ratios are used to compare quantities. Ratios are used to compare quantities. A relationship between two or more quantities that expresses their relationship. For example, we may give an example here and say, example of a relationship is, if Ali's weight is 40 kg or kilograms, and Aisha's weight is 50 kilograms. Okay, these are two quantities, 40 kilograms and 50 kilograms. If Ali's weight is 40 kilograms and Aisha's weight is 50 kilograms, then their weight can be expressed as 40 to 50. Can be expressed as 40 to 50. When simplified further, 40 to 50, this 40 to 50 in its simplest form, would be 4 to 5. This 0 cancels out with this, so that we have 4 to 5 being the ratio of Ali's weight to Aisha's weight. Okay, Aisha's weight. Another example would be if you are to prepare a meal comprising of mixture of beans and maize. A meal comprising of a mixture of beans and maize. Traditionally, this is what we call githeri. If you are to cook githeri comprising of, say, 2 tins of beans and 3 tins of maize, 2 tins beans, 3 tins maize, then these quantities can be expressed in a ratio, in the ratio 2 to 3. So these are examples of ratios. You have said ratios, or ratio helps us in comparing quantities or amounts. Now, having said that, we can go ahead and state that one very important point here, ratio should be always expressed in simplest form. Then number 2, we can also state that ratio should be always expressed in same unit. Always be expressed using the same unit. For example, here we say that Ali's weight is 40 kilograms. Aisha's weight is 50 kilograms. So these kilograms and these kilograms is what we are saying here, the same unit. You should not have a scenario where a quantity is expressed in a different unit from the other. They have to be the same unit. You should not have ratios being expressed, for example, in kilograms to grams. No, that should not be the case. So these two are very important when dealing with ratios. Number 1, ratios should be always expressed in simplest form. Number 2, ratios should be always expressed using the same unit. Let us take another example here. Another example, number 1. What is the ratio of 60 centimeters to 1 meter? What is the ratio of 60 centimeters to 1 meter? This is the answer. Ratio of the ratio of 60 centimeters to 1 meter. 60 centimeters to 1 meter. You can see here the first quantity is in centimeters, the second quantity is in meters, and you have just said here ratio should be expressed using the same unit. So we have to convert these meters into centimeters. In this case, we'll have 60 centimeters to 100 centimeters. We have converted the 1 meter into centimeters, and we all know that 100 centimeters equal 1 meter. So this one, the first rule has been met. The second rule here has been met. You express the ratio in same unit. So these units are the same. The first rule says that ratios should be expressed in simplest form. Now expressing 60 to 100 in its simplest form, this 0 cancels out with this 0. We have 6 to 10, 2 goes here 3 times, 2 goes here 5 times. Therefore, 60 to 100 in its simplest form, we have 3 to 5. 3 to 5. So the ratio of 60 meters to 1 meter will be equal to 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Then another example. I hope you are following. Another example, can give many examples. Example, are you following? Example number 2. Express 400 grams as a ratio of 2 kilograms. 400 grams as a ratio of 2 kilograms. 400 grams to 2 kilograms. Again, you can see these two quantities have different units, grams and kilograms. Grams and kilograms. We can convert these kilograms into grams, then we get the ratio in its simplest form. We all know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Therefore, 2 kilograms will be equal to 2 times 1,000 over 1. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Therefore, 2 kilograms will be equal to 2 times 1,000 times 1, which is equal to 2,000. So we have here 4,000 grams to 2,000 grams. We have made sure that the quantities, number 1, are of the same unit. Then we can simplify further. 400 to 2,000, 400 to 2,000 in its simplest form. 400 goes here once. 400 goes here how many times? 5 times. Therefore, the ratio of 400 grams to 2,000 grams will be equal to 1 to 5. 1 to 5. So a very important rule. Number one, ratios should be expressed in simplest form. 2, ratio should be expressed in the same unit. We can take another example. Example number 3. Example number 3. Example 3. What is the ratio of 15 minutes to 1 hour? What is the ratio of 15 minutes to 1 hour? The ratio is 15 minutes to 1 hour. All right, you can see the units are not the same. First step, make sure the units are the same. So here we have minutes and hours. So we'll convert this 1 hour to minutes, and we know 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Therefore, 1 hour, this 1 hour will be equal to 1 times 60 over 1, which is equal to 60 minutes. So 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So the ratio can be rewritten as 15 minutes to 60 minutes. 15 to 60. 5 goes here once, okay, simplifying the ratio, the simplest form. 15 goes here once, 15 goes here how many times? 4 times. So the ratio would be 1 to 4. 1 to 4. Are we together? Yes, we are together. Let's work out another example. I take as many examples as time will allow. Example number 4. Example number 4 reads, simplify the ratio. Simplify the ratio 90 to 60 to 120. That is the example. Simplify 90 to 60 to 120. Simplifying, we divide this side by 10, because zeros are common. This 0 cancels out with this 0, cancels out with this 0. Right? 3 goes here, is common. 3 goes here 3 times, 3 goes here 2 times, 3 goes here 4 times. So simplifying the ratio to its simplest form, we have 3 to 2 to 4. 3 to 2 to 4 is the answer. Simplify the ratio 90 to 60 to 120 is equal to 3 to 2 to 4. 3 to 2 to 4. Our last example, example number 5. Example 5. Express 5 over 6, 1 over 2, and 1 over 4 in ratio form. Express 5 over 6, a half, and a quarter in ratio form. 5 over 6, 1 over 2, 1 over 4. So the first step is to do away with the denominators, because these are fractions. So we will do that by first finding out the least common multiple of these 3 denominators, 6, 2, and 4. What is the LCM? and the LCM here is 12. The LCM is 12. So we multiply 12 by all the fractions so that we remove the denominator. So here we multiply 5/6 by 12, multiply here a half by 12, multiply here a quarter by 12. So that 6 goes here once, 6 goes here how many times? Twice. So that we have here 10. 2 goes here once, 2 goes here 6 times, 6 times 1, 6. 4 goes here once, goes here 3 times, 3 times 1, 3. So this is now expressed in ratio form. So we have 10 to 6 to 3, 10 to 6 to 3. So where you have quantities expressed as fractions and you want to convert the fractions or to convert the fractions in ratio form, we first do away with the denominators, then simplify it to the least in the simplest form. So 10 to 6 to 3 is the ratio form of 5/6, 1/2, and 1/4. So these are examples which we have done in our today's lesson to help us understand ratio. Remember, we had an objective. We say that by the end of this topic or subtopic on ratios, we should be able to work out problems involving ratios. This was our first lesson where we introduced ratio, and we defined ratio as a relationship between two or more quantities that expresses the relationship, expresses how bigger the quantities are. We've said ratio is a relationship between two or more quantities that expresses how bigger the quantities are from each other. And we've given examples of these relationships, all right? And we started by looking at a relationship between Ali's weight and Aisha's weight. We went further and gave some important rules when working out ratios. We say that ratio should be always expressed in its simplest form. Then number 2, ratio should always be expressed using the same units. We have looked at examples to help us see how this is done, how to simplify ratios into the simplest form. You have seen that. We have worked out 5 examples. It is now your turn to do our assignments. Before we close the lesson, I'll give you some exercise as it is our custom. This is our custom. In mathematics, you have also to do exercise. A good student is one who carries out exercise. Number 1, write the following ratios in the simplest form. Write the following ratios in their simplest form. The first one is the first one here is 12 to 15, B 42 to 14. C, 400 ml to 1000 ml. D, 25 grams to a half kilogram. E, 26 to 39 to 65. All right. Then we have F. F is 2 to 3, 5, 6, 7 over 12. FG, 250 ml to 1 liter. After G we have H. 1 day to 48 hours. Then number 2, in a factory, 65% are men and the rest are women. What is the ratio of men to women? What is the ratio of men to women? Question. Then lastly, just 3 assignments. In a library, a half of the books are English, 3/8 are mathematics, and the rest are of science. The question is, what is the ratio? In other words, express the relationship between the English books, mathematics books, and science books in ratio form. Remember again the definition of ratio. We said is a relationship between two or more quantities that helps us understand how big the quantities are from each other. Ratios are used to compare quantities. And at that, we've come to the end of our today's lesson. I say bye-bye and God bless you.